Please be seated. Do you ever have times when you think about your childhood friends? The ones who were there with you, the ones with whom you played, the ones who were very important for you through those early years? I do. There are a couple that I think of often. One's name was Timmy. Timmy had a dog named Lassie. And they lived on a farm. And they were always wandering around and doing things together. That was a good thing because one day Timmy fell in the well. And we know the rest of that story. I had another childhood friend. His name was Opie. His father was Andy, and he was a sheriff. And they lived with Aunt Bee. One of the benefits of having best friends who were on television is that it didn't matter where I lived. They were always there with me. The Taylors lived in Mayberry, North Carolina. Mayberry was a wonderful place. It was a place of humor and kindness and gentleness. It was a place where there was hospitality like you'd never seen before. It didn't matter if you got in trouble or if you got arrested, whether it was a speeding ticket or theft or you escaped from prison. You would be locked up in the jail by Andy, but Aunt Bee would always bring you a basket for lunch and for dinner. And it was good stuff. It's what you and I would want to eat. It was good food. They were hospitable. It was a place where Opie, no matter what kind of trouble he would get into, Andy would sit him down and reason with him. And Opie would gain the awareness that he needed to not to do that again. And he did. And they would always find some sort of resolution in that 30 minutes. It was a place where no matter how much fun Otis had on any given night, he could let himself into the jail and put himself in a cell and lock himself in, and then in the morning he could get up and let himself out. Woe to anyone who disturbed him between those times. But it was all good nature. It is not uncommon to hear people say or to see people post things like, we need more Mayberries than blah, blah, blah. Or we need more Andy Taylors than blah, blah, blah. Or we need more Opies than blah, blah, blah. I'll let you fill in the blah, blah, blah. Perhaps we need more Timmys, too. And a little secret between us, I really think we need more Lassies. You see, in a time of incivility like we live in currently, Mayberry is a welcome destination. It's a place that draws our hearts and our hopes. In a time when we would rather yell at each other than to talk with each other. Mayberry can be a fun go. In a time where we don't sit down and try to discern truth so much as we accuse each other and we lie to each other. How welcome Mayberry is. We hear a parable today. A landowner, he's not an absent kind of landowner. He's been there monitoring the land. But he's come back, and over a 3-year period, he's watched this fig tree. And he comes back and he calls his gardener out and he says, for 3 years now I have come and checked this fig tree. And it has never borne fruit. It is not living out its identity in this world. It's not doing what it's here to do. Cut it down. Cut it down. There are days when I want to cut down the fig tree. There are days when I've had enough of the incivility, enough of the lying, enough of the yelling. And I just want to go off somewhere else. I want to ignore it. I try to shut it off, but it keeps showing up. I want to get away from it. It's done. It's over. It's fruitless. But there's more in this story, in this parable. For the gardener is a compassionate man, an understanding man. And he looks at the landowner and he said, nah, let me scratch this dirt a little bit and put some fertilizer on it. And let's give it another year. I yearn for Mayberry. When I was in seminary, I decided that I wanted to do some backpacking and camping. So I did. North Carolina was a great place to do it. So I decided that the weekend after I graduated, before I was going to a training program, that I was going to go camping, and I wanted to go to a mountain. But I didn't want to go all the way over to the mountain. So I found this place, and I went camping at a state park there. It was a place called Pilot Mountain. You see, there was no Mount Pilot in North Carolina. Mount Pilot, that neighboring town to Mayberry, was named after Pilot Mountain. So I looked around and I knew that Mayberry had come from Andy Griffith and his growing up in that area. And I looked around for Mayberry. And there were places that would say we were the inspiration for Mayberry. But as much as I looked around, I never found it. You see, Mayberry didn't exist. Oh, it existed weekly when I would watch that show, and it existed in my mind, and it existed to some degree in my heart, but there was not a physical place called Mayberry. You and I know that Mayberry doesn't exist. We lived through that time period, and we know when we watch Mayberry that Mayberry was a made-up place. There were people who were not in Mayberry. There were things that happened in life during those years in the 60s that are not represented in Mayberry. We know that the virtues that they bring to us, we know the virtues of that place are wonderful virtues. The virtues of hospitality and kindness. The gentleness of that place and the openness and the way in which people knew each other. That's a wonderful kind of place to be. But you and I know that it doesn't go far enough. You see, as followers of Jesus, we are invited to take Mayberry to the next level. Not only are we invited in a world of incivility to be kind, not only are we invited in a world that yells at each other to have big ears, ears big enough not only to hear people's voices, but to hear their hearts. Not only are we invited to do these things, but we are invited to represent the virtues of the kingdom of God. Virtues such as peace and justice. As important and good as the virtues of Mayberry are, we are called to go further. And we do. And we do. And if there's ever anything to learn from the current environment in which we live, it is simply this: that the world needs the kingdom of God. And the world needs Mayberry-like life. And you and I are the ones to bring it. I can never go to Mayberry. But you and I can bring it to the world. And you and I can bring with it the virtues of justice and peace. May you and I be Opie and Andy and Timmy and Aunt B in this world.